Welcome to Lumisette Narratives, where quiet stories carry powerful truths. If you've ever felt invisible in your own life, unheard in conversations that mattered, or exhausted from always being the one who understands everyone else, this story is for you. And before we begin, if stories like this bring comfort or clarity, you're always welcome to subscribe or share this moment with someone who may need it. Now, let me tell you about Nora and the communication shift that finally changed how the world treated her. Nora had mastered the art of being easy to live with. She didn't complain. She didn't demand. She didn't take up space. People often described her as kind, understanding, low maintenance. They didn't know those words were built on years of self-humility. Growing up, Nora learned early that expressing emotions caused discomfort. When she cried, she was told she was too sensitive. When she spoke up, she was told she was dramatic. When she needed reassurance, she was told she was asking for too much. So she adapted. She learned how to read rooms instead of expressing needs. She learned how to listen deeply, but never ask to be heard. She learned how to soften herself so others could feel comfortable. And for a long time, she believed that was love. In her adult life, the pattern followed her everywhere. At work, she took on extra tasks quietly. When ideas were overlooked, she stayed silent. When credit was misplaced, she smiled politely. In relationships, she became the emotional caretaker. She remembered birthdays. She checked in. She forgave quickly, but slowly. Invisibility crept in. Her partner Marcus wasn't cruel. He simply didn't notice what she never voiced. When plans changed last minute, Nora adjusted. When conversations centered on his stress, Nora listened. When her needs surfaced, she pushed them back down. And over time, something painful settled in her chest. She felt present everywhere, but seen nowhere. It happened on an ordinary evening. Nora had cooked dinner after a long day. The apartment was quiet, the lights warm, rain streaking down the windows. She sat across from Marcus at the table, watching him scroll through his phone. She had something important to say, something she'd been rehearsing in her mind all day. A need, a truth. She waited. Minutes passed. Finally, she spoke softly. "Can I tell you something that's been on my mind?" Marcus didn't look up. Yeah, just a second." That second stretched into silence, and something inside Nora collapsed. Not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly. She nodded, swallowed the words, and said, "It's nothing." "Never mind." Marcus looked up briefly. "Okay." And that was it. He didn't know that in that moment, Nora didn't feel rejected. She felt erased. That night, lying awake beside him, Nora stared at the ceiling. She replayed her life like a film. Every time she said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. Every time she chose peace over truth. Every time she hoped someone would notice without being told. And suddenly, the realization hit her with painful clarity. People weren't ignoring her. They were responding to the version of herself she presented. She had taught the world that she didn't need much. So the world gave her exactly that. The thought hurt, but it also awakened something powerful. For the first time, Nora asked herself a new question. What if the problem isn't that I'm invisible, but that I never let myself be fully seen? The next morning, Nora didn't wake up fearless. Her hands still trembled. Her voice still felt small. But something inside her had shifted. She decided she would stop hinting, stop hoping, stop softening, and instead, she would practice clear emotional communication. Not aggressive, not dramatic, just honest. That evening, she tried again. Marcus sat on the couch. TV glowing softly. Nora sat beside him and said calmly, "I need to talk, and I need your full attention for a minute." He muted the TV. She took a breath. "When I start to share something and I'm interrupted or delayed, I shut down. Not because I don't care, but because I feel unimportant. I don't want to disappear anymore. I need to know I matter in this space." Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. Marcus looked stunned. "I didn't know you felt like that," he said quietly. "I know," Nora replied, "because I never said it. But I'm saying it now." The room felt heavy, but also honest. Marcus leaned forward. "I don't want you to feel invisible," he said. "I need you to tell me when something matters, clearly." "I'm listening." That conversation didn't magically fix everything, but it changed the dynamic. Nora stopped apologizing for needs. She stopped wrapping truth in softness. She spoke clearly, kindly, directly at work. She said, "I'd like recognition for this contribution." With friends, she said, "I need support today, not solutions." With herself, she finally admitted, "My voice deserves space." And something remarkable happened. People listened, not because they suddenly changed, but because she did. Months later, Nora sat alone in a cafe. Watching rain fall outside the window, she felt calm, not because life was perfect, but because she no longer abandoned herself to keep others comfortable. She understood. Now, communication isn't about talking more. It's about honoring yourself enough to be clear. And from that clarity, everything followed. Because the moment Nora learned how to speak, she stopped feeling invisible. Forever. If Nora's story felt familiar, you're not alone. Here at Lumisette Narratives, we tell the stories many people live, but rarely speak aloud. If this touched you, consider subscribing, leaving a gentle like, or sharing this with someone who needs permission to be seen. Until tomorrow, speak clearly, live gently, and remember, your voice matters.